Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're going live a couple minutes early, 5 minutes early, not a big deal. But man, today was a wild day with Bitcoin. Holy cow, that candle wick on it was something else. So we'll take a look at what happened with Bitcoin. The miners was actually one miner that was in the green today. So that was kind of a good sign there. Is this the end of the drawdown? Maybe, maybe not. We'll take a look at it. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. Then we'll take a look at, there was no stories from the miners today. We'll take a look at the miners' estimates for EPS for the quarter Q4 numbers. We'll also look at short information that's updated now as of December 31st. And then we'll get into a Q&A. So it should be easy, right? As always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. And full disclosure below that, as always, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened here with Bitcoin today. Bitcoin had, like I said, a crazy day today. This is the 1 hour chart of Bitcoin here, right? Or sorry, 4 hour chart on Bitcoin right now. But if you look at the daily chart, I mean, look at this wick down. We got down to a low of 89,028. Once it got there, it just bounced right back up. So this looks like a good sign for us here. Based on what I've been seeing on the web and on X, people are saying that this is bullish. So we'll see if this is the correction that we're needing. Right, it's not that much of a correction, but it is a correction nonetheless. From the top to the bottom here, it is roughly 17.75% down. So it's pretty close to the 20% that we've seen historically. It's not the full 30% that we were thinking, at least I was thinking, but we'll see if this is actually the end of it. 30%, like I said before, would be right around 75,000. We do have the CME futures as well that have a gap around 78,000, 77,000, 78,000, somewhere around there. That still might get filled, but based on what I'm hearing, at least today, that this is a good sign for Bitcoin. So maybe this is the end of that correction. I would be extremely happy if that was the case, right? But we'll see. On the 15-minute chart, we can see here that the RSI is heading downwards while the price is actually going up. So that's a good sign there as well, at least short term. I'm not seeing that same thing as far as a correction here on the RSI for the 1 hour chart. We can see that price of Bitcoin is right there, and the last time we were around here, price was actually slightly higher, just a little bit, not much, but slightly. So we still need a little confirmation there. On the 4 hour chart, same thing. RSI is higher and price is actually lower than it was in the past, right? And then on the daily, obviously, RSI has been kind of flat here in the 40, 45 range or so for the last couple of days. So we've been trading sideways here over the last 4 days now, well, starting this day as well. And we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with Bitcoin. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows what the algos are going to do, what the big guys are going to do, or anything like that. We'll just have to play along in the sandbox. Hopefully we don't get beat up too badly on it. But the let me see. MicroStrategy was up today as well. Towards the end of the day, it was up 0.15%. Bitfarms was down 3% on the day. BitDeer down 7.5%. Cypher was down 3.4%. Cleanspark was up almost 1% here. That one was trying to run during the day here a little bit. If we look at like the 1 hour chart, it was trying to get positive here throughout the day a little bit. It definitely dipped when Bitcoin dipped at that point down to the 89,000 mark. But it definitely tried to rally a little bit here. And surprisingly, it was the only one that was in the green today on that one. Then we had CORZ being down 3%, Hive being down 4.25%, roughly, down 2%, IREN down 4.9%, MAR down 3.75%, Riot was down 1.92%, Wolf was down 3.7%, and then all the small miners were down as well. The ETFs were down as well. So it was another red day for us. And we had one of our guys here that comes in all the time. Can't remember his handle on YouTube here, but he said that we were going to have a red day. And sure enough, he was right. So that was a good for him. Good analysis on him, right? To see that we're going to be down here. Hopefully the whole week isn't down, but right now, based on what we're seeing with Bitcoin and the candle we saw today, this looks like it's a bullish candle. So we'll see if this continues going forward on it. As far as Bitcoin being up on the month here right now, it is up still only 1.24% for the month of January. Not bad, not great, but it's okay. So let's take a look at what we do have here, which is going to be, first we're going to take a look at the short interest on the miners. I have updated all of the the shares float numbers for all these guys here recently. So that's going to change some of the valuations and things and how they are being shorted. Based on that, some things have increased. So that's going to be impacting it as well. And then I pulled in the latest data here from December 31st on the short interest that we do have for the miners. And this is the latest that we have here. So current number of shares shorted here, Marathon's the most, 84.2 million shares, if you look at that. Followed by Cleanspark, 75.71 million. Then you got Riot, 66 million. Then you got TeraWolf and Bitfarms both being in the 59 million range here. And then you got Core at 44, Cypher 22, IREN at 13, along with BitDeer, Hut at 10. Hive, surprisingly, is the least shorted, even though it hasn't done the best out of the miners here. It's the most undervalued based on exahash per enterprise value. And maybe that's why it's not shorted, because it hasn't done that great. So there's not much to short there. But some of these guys that have gone up here, Marathon and Cleanspark haven't done that great either this past year. But some of these other guys like TeraWolf, Core, who else, BitDeer, surprised they're not being shorted more here. But when we look at the percentage of average floated shorted, we can see that Marathon and Cleanspark are pretty close to each other at 26.6 and 26.62% being shorted. Then you got Hut 8 at 26.18, pretty close to that as well. Hut 8 has had a nice run up here as well in the last 3 to 4 months, I would say. TeraWolf, 21% being shorted. Riot, 20%. Core, 17.9. Bitfarms, 15.5, along with BitDeer, 15.5. Cypher, 9.5. IREN, 6.79. Hive at 3. Okay. Then you can see the values of the market cap values and the dollar amount values of how much is being shorted here on all these guys. On this chart, number of shares shorted changed from last time. Cleanspark had the biggest increase in shares shorted, 15.67 million shares increased on top of them. Riot was far behind there at 6.87 million. Bitfarms 6.13, Marathon 5.4, and Core 5.21. This is a change in basically in 2 weeks' time. So that's huge here, where institutions, big boys, I guess, or whatever you call them, big dogs, are playing the markets. They definitely went in hard on some of these guys here, especially Cleanspark at the last 2 weeks of the year and shorted the heck out of it. All right, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they do going forward, especially once we look at the EPS numbers estimates for these miners that I have right now. And will that change their mind going forward, which I think it might, because we're kind of seeing like Cleanspark starting to run a little bit here today when Bitcoin was down. Right, but it hadn't, but we'll see. Time will only tell on that. But you can see how that has changed over time there. And then we got the percentage change shares shorted from last review. Biggest ones that had the percentage-wise change was Hut 8, 27.34%, Cleanspark 26% change in shares shorted. There, that's definitely substantial there. We had IREN actually go down 5.41%, and everybody else was like 13, 14, 11, 6%, somewhere around there from the last time, from 2 weeks ago, basically. Price change percentage from the last 12 weeks ago. BitDeer up huge, 145%. Hut up 57%. IREN, Riot up 24%. IREN, everybody else was kind of down here. We're just barely making positive at that point. So that is how it all stacks up. Here's the latest numbers from all these guys. As of 12/13, I need to update that. I forgot to update this. So bear with me. When we go down here, we move our numbers down here one row. All right, there's that. So now we have 12/31 here as the end date. BitDeer, more or less flat, going up a little bit here towards the end of the year, or now, towards the end of the year. Bitfarms, definitely a sizable increase from where they were, a double from where they started. Cypher, gone up, come back down a little bit here over time. Cleanspark, look at that huge increase here recently for them on the number of shares shorted. Core has been going up as well a little bit. I'm surprised by that, though, because they know they're going to be generating a heck of a lot of revenue here from Core Weave. Hive has actually been coming down as well. Hut 8 has come down and going back up a little bit here recently. I think that's because the price movement on the stock has gone up. IREN has gone up and it's coming back down. Marathon, been a roller coaster ride for sure. It's definitely the most number of shares shorted right now at 84 million. And then prior highs that was at 81.52. Then we got Riot here at 66, also a new high for them as well. And then TeraWolf, you can see how that all stacks up for it. Okay. So that is it on the shorted number side of things here. Let's take a look at the EPS on the miners. So this is going to be estimated. This is based on Q3 results. And I took the quarterly results from Q3 for these guys, right? It's the kind of same way that I do for break even for these guys. I'll look at the quarterly expenses for, let's look at IREN here really quick. So IREN, I pulled in employee benefits, professional fees, share-based payments, expenses, Q1, other expenses and things like that. Anything that was like a cash base or anything like that, all the expenses into it. Some of these, I don't know if you can see it here. Some of these numbers, I don't know if you can see it. But I'm going to go ahead and don't provide the share-based compensation in there. They sometimes pull it out. Core, we had a bunch of stuff in here as well for them on that one. Cleanspark as well. Financials here. So if we look at this one, Cleanspark financials were professional fees, payroll expenses, general administrative compensation. I'm guessing there's also some share-based compensation because I don't see it broken out here. So I think that's included in there. So those are the types of things that I'm dealing with, right? It's not a apples to apples comparison on these guys all the time. They don't have the same structure of providing the quarterly results. I wish that was the case, but it's not, right? Every company does it a little bit differently on it. So I use that. I use the energy expense also for these guys that report. Some of these energy expenses also include wages for employees that handle the facilities there. Okay, so that also goes into effect. There's some break it out, some don't. There's something to look at. I used the average BTC mined here for the quarter of Q3. Got the cost based on what that is per Bitcoin there to mine, right, based on the energy expense. Looked at the reported quarterly uptime for the 3 quarters there, ended in September, and then I also used the uptime for the last 3 quarters. So October, November, December there. Looked at the quarterly average hash rate for that quarter, which was Q3. Applied it to the current petahash, which was what they have right now on average over the last 3 months. Electrical cost, what that possibly was at that point, based on the kilowatt dollars per petahash figure, which is average of those numbers, multiplying it times the new hash rate that they have if they've grown. Obviously, a lot of these guys have grown. Then we get the revenue estimates. The revenue estimates I'm using from what they reported here. So like on IREN, right, I'm using last 3 quarter revenues based on what they provided as far as Bitcoin being mined. We got that number, so we're using those figures there. And then we're including the total expenses, which is electrical cost times 3 months basically, and monthly expenses average on IREN times 3 months as well. We're using those numbers, and that's kind of where we're getting the total expenses potentially. Those could change if they include higher share-based compensation or lower share-based compensation, right? Any of those things will change that. I'm going off the Q3 results, so this is just an estimate, like I said. HODL, I'm also using the HODL that they had at the beginning of the quarter, right? So at end of Q3, what did they report as far as what was their HODL? And then I'm using the end of the quarter here for Q4, what they reported as far as how much HODL they had. There are some exceptions to this. For Riot, which bought Bitcoin here in the last couple weeks in December, along with Marathon has been buying here in the last quarter as well. I took out those figures were what they bought because they've been buying at higher numbers. I don't know how that's going to get impacted by the FASB rules. Okay, I do know that the FASB rules will apply to what they had at the beginning and what they had at the end and what the valuation is of it. But I just don't know how that's going to work out. So there's that little caveat there for Riot and Marathon as well. I know Marathon bought a bunch, but I just don't know how that valuation is going to work. And I don't know exactly the dollar amounts they paid for those without having to go back and try and figure out what they bought those at, what price targets. Right? But I know it was in the 90,000s here recently they've been buying. Okay, so those are the 2 caveats. So those could be skewed a little bit, right, depending on how they value those, just so you guys know up front. Also, what else did I do here? There was a little caveat there. Bitfarms. Bitfarms paid off their prior CEO in Q3. So I think I subtracted like $8 million for that. I don't know exactly what they paid him. They didn't report that, so it's kind of hard. But based on what I was seeing in their numbers from the prior quarter, they had like a 12 million increase in SG&A. So I took out only about 8, about 3/4 of that I took out for possibly paying off the prior CEO. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's just kind of to be fair with them so they don't get dinged too much on paying off the prior CEO. All right, just so you guys know, full disclosure there. What else do we have here? I think that was it as far as what I took out and things like that. Okay, so then we look at the HODL difference and everything else. What the difference was between that, and we can see the numbers here. For Cleanspark, it was about 481 million difference, so it was an increase for them. Cypher was about 40 million here. Riot. Riot was 543 million. Bitfarms about 22 million. Marathon about 1.26 billion. Hive about 118 million. Right, so then I took revenue minus the expenses plus FASB HODL what was that difference there. And we got these figures here for them. I pulled in all the latest share numbers that we do have from, I guess this would be Q3. So if they increase their shares also, this would impact the EPS for them going forward. All right, I don't expect a lot of dilution here, but there's going to be probably some, 5, 10%, whatever it might be, dilution. Then you can add that in there if you want. I didn't the EPS here. I also took in depreciation. So I added in depreciation for some of these guys here that have actually provided that as a separate line item. BitTier was the only one that I did not have that information for, so I can't tell if they're going to be positive on EPS with the depreciation there. Okay, then we have revenue minus depreciation, so we get the actual revenues possibly at that point. Depreciation could also change. That's another one that's going to be fluid, right? It could go up, it could go down depending on how much they depreciate their machines, their sites, all that stuff. Okay, so that's going to be also fluid there. And then we finally got the end of that EPS. So based on all of this, now that you guys have a little bit of a background as far as what I did and how I got to these numbers here are the actual numbers. So EPS estimates with depreciation, right? We got IREN coming in basically at 0 EPS at that point. Like I said, this can definitely change depending on how much they put in for share-based compensation at the end of the year for the last quarter. Depreciation, that can all definitely change here. IREN also doesn't have any HODLs, so they don't benefit from that really. Core, I actually have them at -9 cents here if you include depreciation. If you don't include depreciation, they're up a penny, more or less, right? But depending where that comes in, that could change. Cleanspark, $1.61 with depreciation, $1.79 without depreciation. Cypher at 3 cents with depreciation, without it at 11 cents. BitTier 5 cents, and also for BitTier, there's another caveat there. I'm not including any of the other business segments that they have, which include their, what do they call it? Oh gosh, you guys know what I mean. They have the ASICs that they lend out basically, basically lend out to users to, if shares increase, those numbers are going to come down, obviously. If share-based compensation is higher and depreciation is higher, those numbers are going to decrease. If they're lower, they're going to increase for them, right? And then what else was there? There's something else I wanted to point out as well, I think. Who else generates quite a bit of revenue here? Hive generates revenue also from HPC-AI, which is not being included in here. Hut 8 as well. IREN as well. It's not as much, though. Who else has a Core right now doesn't have, they have some HPC business, so that's not being included in there as well, but that could definitely help out there. But that's kind of where I'm seeing things right now. This gives us at least a range, more or less, where I think things should be, if my understanding of the FSB rules are correct, and they will get revalued based on those numbers from the end of Q3 to the end of Q4, right? That difference there should be a positive on their books, based on just what I'm seeing here. Okay, so things should look really good for a lot of these guys here in Q4 based on this. But again, like I said, this is just an estimate based on Q3 results. Things can change for share-based compensation, depreciation, and whatever else you put into those at the end of the year books, right? Bonuses, whatever it might be, things like that. So that's going to change. But more or less, this is kind of where I would see them, plus or minus, I would say 10-20% from these figures, possibly. I think that would be a pretty good ballpark to kind of aim for, at least. Okay. But yeah, that is all that I have for you guys. So this, I'll make this available to, obviously, to my Patreon members. The link for that is going to be down in the description. If you want to join there, that's $8 a month. You might be able to find a couple spots that are still open in the $4 and $5 range. If you do find them, go for them, grab them. It's a nice discount for you at that point. And I'm all for saving money. So if you can save money, go ahead and do that. All right, that is it. Let's get into Q&A side of things here. See what you guys thought of this. If you have any questions on it or anything like that. We went pretty quick over all this stuff. A lot of data, a lot of things to crunch, and quite a few assumptions as well in this. So it's not ever easy with these guys. I wish they would provide this stuff more uniformly across the board with everybody providing the same kind of data. But they don't. So we're left with what we do have here. Okay. Let's go into the Q&A side of things here. All right, let's see if we got any questions. Also, preface your questions with a Q or question mark, and then I'll know it's a question mark here. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here, trying to see if there's any questions popping up here. All right, let's see it. Question: Hive moving their headquarters to US will bring new investors. Yes, I think so. Oh, that's the other thing. Hive, I don't think Hive can benefit from the FASB rules being in Canada right now. I don't know. Yeah, with them moving in to the United States sometime this quarter, I don't think they can take advantage of it to report that. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but take that into consideration also, that Hive will not get the benefit of the FASB. And same thing with Bitfarms, I think. Bitfarms is Canadian, right? So they can't get the benefit of it. So if we look here, where is it at? Where's Bitfarms? Let's see, Bitfarms is at, yeah, basically without it, yeah, I mean, I don't think that we can add it. So they might be actually at a negative EPS at that point. If we take out Bitfarms, 22 million here, they might be, well, they'll still be up about 7 million or so based on this, right? Difference 22, take out the 22, you got 7 million here in the positive possibly based on that, but I don't think they can take advantage of it. So that's the other part that I forgot to mention. All right, let's go back here. Let's see. Heinz Ketchup says, Mar has been my worst investment. It has not done great. Neither has Cleanspark here recently. Neither has like Riot, Bitfarms, Hive. Obviously, some of the more pure play miners have not done great. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Seb, just FYI, as of January 12th, BitDeer is the most shorted at 30% of float. Mara is 24% of float, and Cleanspark is 22% of float. Which service are you using for the float, and which one are you using for the number of shares shorted? If you're getting it from like Bloomberg Terminal, then you might have the more accurate data than I do. Mine's a little bit more delayed. Okay, let's see. Have you noticed on how the daily volume for most miners has been very low today? Most were less than 60% of the average. That will drive the volume up. Okay, I have not noticed. I don't really pay attention to the volume there that much. Let's see. Added a bunch of Bitfarms sub 160. Am I cooked? No, I think once my Bitcoin starts running, and mine will run as well. They just need to execute on their growth, really. Get some good production numbers up for January and keep going forward. Let's see. Sound keeps cutting out. Anyone else? Sometimes it happens. What you can do is get out of the stream, come back in the stream. That should fix it, but it's on Google's side of things. Bar says, Ben's Google, Ben Gang is fooling around with Seb's Wi-Fi. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Reload stream. That's the best way to solve it. Let's see. Yeah. Reloaded the stream. It worked for me. Yeah. I don't know why that happens. I mean, maybe because I'm giving it 4K and doesn't like 4K streams. Maybe that's the reason why. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. Okay. Yep. So a lot of you guys are saying Reloaded worked for you guys. Perfect. Yeah. Do you still believe the DOJ could sell the Silk Road BTC before the inauguration? I don't know. I mean, that one is, I mean, that's up to them. We'll find out when they do it. But it has to be an auction, I think. It's not just like they're going to sell it on the market. So I think it has to be an auction if I'm not mistaken there. Let's see. Seb, what are the miners that are going to report first? Cleanspark always seems to be the last to report. They should be actually the first one around this time around because their end of year ended in Q3 for us. So they're doing Q4, which doesn't have to be audited, where the other guys will now take a little bit longer because they have to be audited. So I think Hive and Cleanspark should be like one of the first ones to report there because their fiscal year ends are different from the regular calendar year. Okay, let's see it. Can't believe Bitfarms is under 2. Didn't think we would be here at $1.60 is too low. Are you confident it will likely run way up in 2025, $8 at least? $8, I would love to get it to $8. Bitcoin would have to be, I think, 200,000, 200,000 plus at that point. But I still think it's going to run up here a little bit. It should. Okay. Let's see. Why did that one pop up? That's not the one I wanted. I wanted this one. How does or should the EPS reflect on share price? Well, that's up to you guys to decide, right? Could it get could these EPSs get 5 multiple, a 10 multiple, a 15 or 20 multiple? I'll leave it up to you guys to decide how you guys want to do that as far as what you think it's worth, right? Historically, tech sector has been around, what, a 20 multiple? So that's kind of where you could possibly multiply those numbers and get there somewhere like that. Let's see. Also, are you confident Cleanspark gets to at least 50 plus sometime in 2025? Oh, yeah. I'm more confident now than in the past of them getting to like 32x's or 35x's, whatever they were planning by the end of the year here. they just had so many more sites that they had to buy and build out that I saw it as tough. But man, they definitely did that. So I do think 50 plus for them is going to be easier for them to go this time around. Okay, question, can BitDeer go up to 60 by Q1 end? I don't think so. Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. Let's see. Private, I thought Bitfarms at 10 and Cleanspark at 15 was very likely, but I'm starting to get nervous that maybe I'm wrong. Thoughts? I mean, yeah, with the miners being continually beaten down and shorted like crazy here, it's definitely making it tough to be optimistic and believe that they could actually go up that high. But if we get Bitcoin to run, I think they'll run also, right? It just depends on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin goes at this point. Okay, let's see. What great EPS news? Do you see similar quarterly results going forward in 2025? We could possibly see the similar results, but Bitcoin obviously would have to go up, right, from where it's been, like 250,000 by the end of the year, by the end of the first quarter. Miners continuing to grow, everything else, we could possibly see that. But we would just need those kind of stepping stones for Bitcoin to continue to go up over the quarters, next couple of quarters. Soda heads, especially I thought Cleanspark would drop further yesterday before rising, but I still bought more shares at 10.10 in pre-market without waiting. I believe it'll keep climbing at least until Friday. Nice. Okay. Let's see. Question: if the CPI report shows the inflation is still high, so no January rate cut, do you think this will affect the BTC price on Wednesday? I think that's already priced in. I think the Fed's already said that they probably won't raise or lower rates until like March, I think. So I think this is kind of priced in already in the markets. Let's see here. Jerry says, no way Cleanspark getting to 50 plus without BTC at 250,000. Yeah, I'm saying 200,000 plus at that point, right? It's going to have to be there. Because at that point, they're making so much money, it's got to be up higher. Do you think Bitcoin will tank in the years to come when utility-based cryptos like XRP, HBAR, XLM are gaining more adoption by banks and big companies? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Bitcoin is still going to be the top dog here based on being a store of wealth, store of value, basically a digital gold, whatever you want to call it. It is the one with the largest energy being used to secure it. So I think that's kind of what's also important there. So I don't see that happening. No. Okay. Do you think the rapid and significant IBIT options flows change the BTC dynamics this cycle? Yeah, I do think it definitely plays a part in it. IBIT's one of the largest ones in the ETF space for Bitcoin, so I do think that has definitely an impact on it. Let's see here. Private says, I thought 180,000 would be enough for Bitfarms and Cleanspark to get to 8. It might be. If the shorts let off a little bit here and they go long on it, it might be. Then you get also the retail crowd that goes into it, FOMOing into it when they see these stocks going up, 100%, 200%, whatever it might be. And that kind of follows in there. Let's see. Based on today's trading volume before the market closed, Cleanspark has likely formed a short-term bottom. After Trump takes office, there should be a wave of gains. I'll wait patiently on my end. Nice. That would be fantastic, yeah. Do you think it is smart to rotate money throughout the miners when they have earnings? If, let's say, one miner goes up, take profit and rotate to a miner that has ER and hasn't been performing well. I mean, that's going to be up to you, right? I'm terrible at timing the markets, trying to get in and out of things. So that's why I've been dollar cost averaging, because it's just, to me personally, it's just easier, right? It's easier to do. I don't have to worry about things. And I just want a dollar cost averaging because eventually I think that things will go up. So that's kind of how I played it. But there are people that will rotate in and out of the miners based on the news or whatever it might be, the results, and they do very well. So there's a couple ways you can do it. Let's see here. Brad PG says, Seb has been way off. Yeah, I've definitely been way off on where I thought the miners would go in the end of Q4. All right, so definitely been on that one. But I don't believe the cycle is over yet. And then you can judge me, I think, when the cycle is over. If we get to only 150,000 Bitcoin and the miners are only up 50% from here, yeah, my numbers are going to be way off, right? But if Bitcoin goes to 200,000, 250,000, whatever it might be, could the miners be better at that point? Possibly, right? So judge me at that point. But yeah, mid-cycle here, they haven't done nowhere near what I expected. Okay, let's see. I have been hearing on news on X that Trump might do executive order allowing banks to hold Bitcoin. Yeah, I saw that today too, that they're going to change the rules, policies, whatever they might be, that they don't have to put it on as a liability on their books, but they can actually use it as an asset, I guess. That's also, I've heard that he created a crypto team AI as well. Yes. There are 20 plus strong members on there, crypto team, I believe. So they're going to be generating possibly some guidance, laws, things like that going forward. That should be good also. Let's see. Do you think IREN could hit $40 this year or next year? If Bitcoin goes to 200,000 plus, I do think it can hit that this year. Let's see. Brett says Cleanspark needs 500,000 BTC to get to $30. Okay, you're definitely a bear here, my friend. Yeah, it doesn't need 500,000 to get to 30. But you may want to change your stance a little bit as we get closer to reporting time. Okay, what are the chances of IREN going back to back positive earnings? We looked at IREN, as long as they keep their costs down on share-based compensation and depreciation. Based on just what I'm seeing here and the numbers that they had, I know that their electricity has also improved here in the Q3 or Q4 numbers. So my numbers are a little bit higher, but they had higher costs at Q3 at that point. So that should improve as well. So I would think that they should definitely have a positive EPS. Let's see. Seb, are you losing faith in the miners? This is not looking good. No, not yet. I'm not losing faith yet. Yes, they haven't looked good. I still believe that we're being highly manipulated by the big guys here. Eventually, I do believe that they will succumb to their better wisdom, maybe, and go long on these guys, especially as, I mean, you guys saw the EPS is possible that are happening here for the miners. I mean, Cleanspark, Riot, Mara, huge possible EPSs for them. It's huge from where they were just a couple of quarters ago. So I think they're going to have to rotate to go long. I truly believe that. I'm not the only one that thinks that also. Let's see here. Okay. What else? I'm trying to find a question here. Okay. Do you see Cleanspark short squeeze this week after seeing Cleanspark not going down today? Maybe. I wish I would have like daily updates on the short information. That would be fantastic. I'm delayed by about 2 weeks or so. So it's not ideal. So it's hard to tell how that's going to play out. But yeah, I think as we get closer to the quarterly reports being released, things should do better for the miners. Okay. Let's see here. Sebastian and others, could you post about Cleanspark on Reddit and Wall Street Bets? Wall Street Bets, I don't use Reddit. I just don't have time, to be honest with you guys. I used X and then I have Patreon with you guys and Discord. That's enough for me. Anybody else wants to post about it, definitely go for it. Let's see here. Big time options end on Friday, so things could get interesting indeed. Okay, cool. That'll be nice. Let's see. Jerry says BitDeer can go to 35.40 this year if BTC runs, in my opinion. It's possible. I know they have a lot of growth here happening at the second half of this year and into 2026 as well. Yeah, I'm not going to put it out. I'm not going to dismiss it as not possible, but it's definitely, it might be possible. Okay. Brett says miners are trash anyway. BTC went to 108,000. They were still down 50%. Plus, yes, we also had the halving event, which cut their revenue by 50%. There's a reason for it, right? So just give it a little bit more time, I think. All right. Let's see your question. This Friday options expiration will significantly impact BTC and miners' price. Shorts may start to cover after that date. Another event could cause volume increase to get miners up. Okay. That's definitely possible. Question: Pro crypto executive order by Trump on day one will boost miners. Possibly, right? Depending what the executive order is. Okay, if we're upset if miners fail, then just look at the institutional holders of these miners. This includes Vanguard, BlackRock. Question is, will FOMO be the one to justify those price predictions? But that's one of the things that's always played into it, right? Is FOMO. And yeah, I mean, you're right. The institutions, they own a lot of shares. A lot of these guys are owned 50% plus. Some are 60, 70% owned by institutions. Do you think they're going to let them not run? It would be crazy on them not to do it. Okay. Let's see, Brett says Bitcoin is about to go parabolic. Seb. Well, then that would mean good for the miners as well. Let's see. Question of a bunch of CORZ Z. Do you see a way to get to the HPC contribution to the EPS for CORZ Z? Not for this quarter, right? It will happen possibly in Q3, I think, right? It's supposed to start towards the end of the first half. So if it starts there, I'm guessing like Q3 should be a full quarter possibly for them of HPCI business, which then would be definitely included in there as well. All right, let's see. If BTC is a word stick for Trump, isn't the price on January 20th a floor price for the next 4 years? That I don't know. Depending on what kind of cycle we have. Do we have a similar cycle like we had in the past where Bitcoin goes up, 200,000, 250,000, whatever it might be, and then do we fall back down to like 60, 70,000 at, going down 70% again? I don't know. Or is it going to be an extended cycle? Kind of what I'm thinking might happen. But we won't know until we're actually going through it or past it, probably towards the end of the year here. So we still have ways to figure that out. Okay, let's see. Question. Hello, Seb. Hi. Do you think money has to go from MicroStrategy to miners, or they can going up together? Thanks. They'll go up together. The money's going to definitely flow out of other things that people were interested in, and because they're going to see miners going up, they'll flow into that. They'll flow into Bitcoin as well. I don't see a problem with that. Okay, let's see your question. Most miners will up around 11 November and then they came down. What was the reason then, and why are they down now? The only reason I can think of that they were down from 11th of November. Let's take a look. Was that the case here that we saw in November? Let's take a look. I'm not sure if that's the case. All right, let's take a look at this screen here. So let's take a look at Bitfarms here. Where's October? This is on the daily. Okay, you're saying the 11th, 13th. Yep, we kind of peaked here. Bitcoin also kind of peaked. When did Bitcoin peak here? Bitcoin peaked December. Okay, but we were definitely here Friday, November 11th here. Bitcoin was actually going up. Bitfarms was actually kind of going down. So you're right. Shorts have been also increasing since that time. That could be a possibility there. This one has been actually going up. Bittier has been going up since then. Cypher, as of the 11th, has been kind of sideways going down. You're right there. Cleanspark, same thing here, right? CORZ has been going down as well. Hive, yep, definitely going down there since the 11th. Hut actually went up and then came down a little bit. IREN actually went up and then came down on that one. Mara, the 11th here, went down, went way up, and then came down again. Riot, same kind of situation here, more or less. Sideways and then down a little bit. Wolf, same thing. Shorts, I'm guessing, end of the year, preparing for selling, things like that. That's the only thing I can really think of as far as what could have driven those things down at that time. Go back here. Okay, let's see. Seb, do you base your expectations on the miners for their earnings potential or on big move due to BTC going up? Will they get overpriced and then retreat? A combination of both. So it's their earnings potential, which is going to definitely increase if Bitcoin goes up, which then should drive the price impact on their shares. So it's kind of a combination of both there. And then they will front run Bitcoin. At least historically they did that. Last cycle they did that. We'll see if they do it again. I'm expecting them to do it again. And then they'll definitely retreat from there. see. At what price will you consider selling out of the miners? Which price targets base case for IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms? So it's not going to be where the miners are going to be. It's going to be where Bitcoin's at. Bitcoin gets to like 150,000. I'm going to start slowly getting out of the miners here. 5% here, 5% there as Bitcoin goes up. So that's kind of the plan there. The plan was to get out at 100,000, but the miners haven't done as well. So I've increased that to 150,000. I'm like, okay, at that point, I think Q1 or Q4 results should have an impact on the miners, but we'll see. Let's see here. Bitfarms insiders buy? Yes. Did you confirm that any of them did buy recently? Yes. Ben bought like 150,000 shares. He bought 100,000 and bought another 50,000 here last Friday. Another executive bought as well, and another one there. So they've been buying there, which is a good sign. Okay. Question: Bitfarm or Bitcoin profit went down 50% after the halving, but didn't they double up their machines since 2021 or even triple their machines? A lot of the miners did, yes. A lot of these miners actually from 2021, they grew. Heck, oh my gosh. Some of these guys were like 3-4 exahash at that point. They 10x their. A lot of these guys 10x. I would say even maybe 12x, 13x their hash rate in those couple years. What determines the transaction fees on the miners? The block that they win. Right, so if they're in a pool, they're going to share that basically with everybody, and the transaction fees there. But like Mara, if Mara gets a block that they win, whatever the transaction fees were in that block, they get them all. The other miners that take part in the pool, they will get a percentage of that, basically whatever the amount of their hash rate is on that pool. So that's kind of how that works on the pools. There's plenty of great articles on how pools work and things like that. You can definitely check it out there. But that's kind of the easiest explanation I can give you on it. Let's see. Ryan asks, question, is the world still on fire? Well, not all the world, just part of California still, unfortunately. Is Bitcoin doomed? No, Bitcoin is not doomed. Let's see. Question, the ETF started trading 2024. I highly doubt we go into a bear market late 2025 because when you look at each price drops, it gets eaten up very quickly. Thoughts? That's kind of why I'm thinking we might be in an extended cycle. Right, in 2025, 2026, 27 even possibly, and even into 28 maybe. Don't know, right? We'll bear witness to it when we go through it, unfortunately. It's not something we can get a crystal ball on. What else we got here? Do you think MicroStrategy will take off once Trump is in office? Thanks. It will follow Bitcoin, I think. I think it'll overshoot it at some points like it has historically and then come back down to reality. Historically, it's been like a 2x on Bitcoin, right? 2 to 3x at most. 3x, it gets a little overheated. 4, you're definitely going to have a pullback. We saw a pullback here when it got to $500 per share. So it does front run quite a bit, and then it pulls back because it just gets overheated, I think. So it will do that, I believe. Okay. Please share your thoughts on how highly you think BTC will likely get to this year in 2025. Do you think 180,000 is very likely, or over 180,000 is very likely? I do still highly believe that. My initial target for Bitcoin here before we had the ETFs and before we had President Trump being the victor in the election there was 180,000 for Bitcoin. But with everything happening here with the ETFs, the adoption, everything else, I think we're going to go up higher. I'm thinking 200 to 200,000 or 200 to 250,000 at this point, but we could go even higher. I just don't know. Let's see here. Ryan celebrates 22 months of membership. Don't forget to celebrate or hit the like button. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for being here with me for this long. It's been a fun ride. It's been a stressful ride, but it's been a fun ride. Let's see. Question: can BTC still go below 90,000 this week or in Q1 2025? Nothing is out of the question here for Bitcoin. I mean, historically, Bitcoin has dropped 20 to 30% in a bull run. We've only dropped down 17.75% here from the top. So we could go down even more a little bit. I just don't know if it's going to happen like within the next couple of days or next couple of weeks or 2 weeks. I don't know. If it doesn't drop, I'll be extremely happy if it doesn't happen. But the possibility is there that it could always go back down. What else do we have here? Okay. Question: if the big institutions are short the miners and long Bitcoin, then why would it matter how good the miners' earnings are? They have to go still go short to hedge their long BTC. Thoughts? Yeah, but at one point do you say that they're not profitable, right? If they're profitable, you're going to get investors getting into them. Plus, you also have institutions getting in, not getting to them. They're already in them. They're already there. So they're going to want to run those things up as high as they can to make money on it as well. So that's kind of the way I think it's going to play out, but we'll see. Okay. Is there a mismatch between where we are in the BTC cycle versus the money printing cycle? There is a slight mismatch with the miners. Miners should have been running somewhere around November, middle of November into, right now. They haven't for the most part. So we're a little bit delayed on that. I'm not sure exactly why. I think it might be the shorts, it's big guys, hedging their bets and things like that. I think that's maybe the reason there. But I do believe that might change here once they start reporting Q4 results. John says, yeah, February earnings can't come soon enough. I agree there. Let's see here. Joel bought BTC at $19 or $19,000. If you bought it at $19, congrats. I hope you have a ton of that. Okay, question. I think the only way we see a parabolic rise is after good or great earnings with forward growth plans like exahash growth or AI deal. I think markets want to see consistent profits, not just BTC going up. Yeah, that would definitely be a good thing there. What else here? Let's see. Is Hive, if Hive moved their main headquarters to Texas from Canada, is Hive bullish? Yeah, I think they're still way undervalued from where they really should be, just like Bitfarms, like Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, Mara as well. All of those guys should be high from where they are. Let's see. Trying to see if I've got any questions. I think that's it. I think we've caught up to all your guys' questions here. We're going on. Well, we started a little bit. When did we start? 9:15? Okay, so we're going on about 45 minutes here, roughly. I don't see any other questions here, so I think we're going to call it a day. We'll see where, like I said, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see where the miners actually report their numbers based on what I saw with Q3 results and extrapolating the data into here. This is what we have here for the possible estimates with the miners as far as with depreciation, without depreciation. And then things definitely can change from there depending on how much they put in or don't put in for share-based compensation, depreciation, right? All those things are going to change on us there, and then anything else that they want to throw in along with the kitchen sink there. But that's kind of the estimates where I see things. I think we might be within 10 to 20% of that, somewhere around there on some of these guys. And like I said, some of these guys also don't include revenues from other things as well. This is just for Bitcoin mining currently. All right. So that's kind of where I see things. But we'll see. We'll see where we end up later on this month. We'll see what happens when Trump gets inaugurated into the office, what kind of executive orders he puts in for us, if they're bullish or not, and then we'll go from there. All right. But I think the best is yet to come, possibly. Fingers crossed. That's going to be the case here. All right. But yeah, love you all. Have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.